And every time I went in there, and even though I performed really well in episodes 1, 2, and 3, Lord Sugar just wouldn't mention anything. And then as soon as in episode 4, I think he said to me, "You're really quiet." And I think this is where people got a little bit confused. I wasn't hurt with the fact that he said, "You're really quiet, Jana," but I knew in my head, and it registered to me, that none of my contributions are going to be shown in episodes 1, 2, and 3, and they're going to make it look like I was really...
So Dr. Jana, Denzel, thank you so much for coming onto the platform.
Thanks for the invite, bro. I appreciate you having me here.
So you were on The Apprentice this year, and you are also the founder of DENSTUDIO.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. So the first question I'd like to ask you is, according to your interview with Dentistry, you grew up in a strict academic household. How did your early life and upbringing influence, firstly, your entrepreneurial drive and who you are today?
Okay. So, that's taking it back to the very start. So I think both my parents, their stories were kind of shaped personality and kind of the morals and stuff I have now. It's really shaped how they raised me. So both of them are refugees. They escaped the civil war in Sri Lanka, came over here in the 1980s in London, and we kind of grew up in a house full of other different refugee families. So, the map my parents gave me from a young age was hard work, discipline, but always doing the right thing. And I think that's shaped who I am now. And sometimes I think Gary Vee said it best, is that when you're a refugee coming into a country, you always have that advantage of, hard work and grit. So I felt like, I owe a lot to them, because having that journey has definitely made me who I am today.
That's amazing. And you graduated from Universidad in Valencia, Spain.
Yes.
And in 2020, you then, have set up DENSTUDIO.
Yeah, I'd say around that time is when I started the company.
So please just tell me a bit about the business, why you set it up, the ethos behind it.
Sure. So I came into dentistry in 2019. That's when I graduated. I came in the UK. I do a 1-year training within the NHS. So I did my 1-year training, stayed an extra year in the NHS as well. And then after doing a bit of NHS dentistry, I realized the ethos I like to practice is something called slow dentistry. And that's when you really take your time with the patient, because a lot of people have fear of the dentist, going to them, the procedures itself. So in order to be able to really reassure them and create a good relationship with them, you need time. And unfortunately, the NHS doesn't give you that option of having a certain amount of time with patients. So I thought, going into private dentistry, I'll be able to take my time, practice slow dentistry, and develop more of a relationship with the patient. So after 2 years, I made that switch from NHS to private. And while I was doing private dentistry, I met so many great people, and they always told me, you should do it yourself, because I was able to do the whole 360 of, finding the patient, booking the patient in with me, doing the treatment, and making sure they leave a good review. So after I learned the whole 360, a lot of my patients encouraged me to do it myself. And that's when I started up DENSTUDIO. I wanted to have luxury, general and cosmetic dentistry that's affordable to everyone.
That's incredible. And one thing about you that my young audience will love is that you have done a dentistry for the likes of Beta Squad, so Chunks and some of his friends.
Yes.
You've also done a dentistry for the likes of Nani, Manchester United footballer.
Yeah.
So please just tell us a bit about how you developed DENSTUDIO into such a successful venture.
So honestly, I would love to tell you I'm the best dentist in the world. My clinical skills are, on par with other dentists, but it's really not that. It's really to do with just building good relations with people. Chunks has been able to refer me to so many of his friends and family, and that's something that doesn't come overnight. It comes from, building a relationship, always doing what's right for them at all, So, I got a voice note on my phone the other day from one of them, and it says, I've never met someone that takes so much care for me and puts me first. And after I got that voice note, it just made me more happier than any paycheck could, because I know that what I set out to do with the company, I'm being able to do, and that just makes me really happy.
And what I would also like to ask you is, one incredible thing that I actually learned about you is that your father wanted to fund your dreams of dentistry.
Yeah.
And what actually happened was he couldn't get a loan.
Mm-hmm.
So he worked 16-hour days.
Yeah.
Please can you just tell me a bit about that and how that's pushed you to become as successful as you are now?
What my parents, I've got to, I always give a lot of credit to my dad, and that's because it's true, he did do the long hours. He was the one working, and all of that money was going towards me. So I have to give him a lot of credit. But at the same time, you got to realize my mum, not only did she work, but she also raised 4 children in the house. But most of the time she was by herself because my dad would work so much. Yeah. And I feel like me and my mum, we've always been close because I grew up with her. She was always at home looking after me. And the relationship I have with her, it's not necessarily what I have with my dad, because my dad was always working. So every time I go onto different platforms, I tend to tell my dad's story because my mum knows I love her, and my mum knows that, I'm always grateful for everything she's done for me. But I definitely want to talk about both of them, because although my dad is the one that worked all those hours, my mum was my best friend when I was growing up. And I feel like you need both parts of, someone who's emotionally going to be there for you, and then someone who's, can be able to provide you with the finance to live out your dreams, which is both my parents did for me. Growing up as a teenager, I wasn't the most ideal student. I was definitely entrepreneurial during school days, and getting into dentistry in the UK was quite challenging then, because you needed pretty much all A's to get in, and I missed my offer a couple of times, and that's why I went abroad to study. And my dad did fund me that. So when I came back into the UK, I really wanted to make sure that the first thing I do is look after my parents, because they've given so much up to look after me and be able to help me have my dream, that now it's my turn to repay them for that.
That's incredible and very, very noble.
Thank you.
One thing I'd also like to, I was watching one of your Instagram posts, and you talked about that the same university that you got rejected from, you later became a speaker to. So just from our audience, please just tell them a bit about that.
That was, a whole 360, because that was the university that I wanted to go in. I had our offers from Manchester to go and study there, but for some reason, when I was a young teenager, I was just so fixated on staying in London. My friends were there, my family were there. I just wanted to stay on. So I missed the offer by a few marks. I got AAC instead of AAB. Reapplied again and needed 4 A's, and I got 3 A's and a B, again by a few marks. So I reapplied, and I remember going into that same building, and just pleading with them, saying, look, it's just by a few marks, please can you let me in? Been doing dentistry work placement since I was 15. It's all I want to do. I read up everything about the institution, its history, its professors, everything it has, and I was so fixated with going in there. But time after time, they were just like, sorry, nothing we can do. And, it did break me at that point in time, because it was that my dreams are being crushed. I'm never going to become a dentist. So being able to become a dentist when I was, at that age, when I was 18, 19, it was a dream. So now I'm actually living it. And I was invited to be a speaker back at that university. And that university has so many buildings. And only when I went there did I realize, wow, this is the building that I used to come in when I was rejected from dentistry with them time after time after time. And this time I'm back in here because they want me to be a speaker to their students, to show them what's possible. If you, graduate, study well, and do really well in a career, you can end up like someone like me. And for me, that was the complete 360 and living the dream for sure.
And what advice would you give to young people that might have had their dreams crushed and they consider giving up?
Yeah, as in, I get a lot of DMs from students talking to me about it, sharing kind of similar journeys from me. But I really feel like if you really want something, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. You just got to keep getting back up and going for it again and again until you get there. Of course, when I've had these knockbacks down, I did consider different options aside from dentistry, but I was fixated in knowing the fact that I had the skills and the passion to become a great dentist, and that's why I was fixated to make it come true. So if you're a student and you didn't meet your grades the first time, or you're not, got rejected from a university year after year, really reevaluate what it is, what your skills are, what you're passionate about. And if you still feel, if it's a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever it is you want to be, and you have that passion for it, just keep going. Because if you work hard and you manifest it, I always call myself Dr. Denzel when I was 15, and do the work to get there, you're going to make it happen.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And another part of the aspect of your life I like to cover is The Apprentice.
Sure.
So you were in The Apprentice this year.
Yeah.
Please just tell me a bit about the application process and how you auditioned to be on the show.
Sure. So my application journey was a little bit different. As being a dentist, I've been able to have so many great different jobs. And one of them was actually being a guest lecturer at Oxford University. where they had an MSc in Applied Digital Health.
Okay.
So when I was speaking there, we have the Oxford Union, where sometimes we have these really cool people coming in to give talks. And one of them was Tim Campbell.
Okay.
So I went to go watch his talk, and obviously it was about The Apprentice, him winning and stuff. But one of the keynotes that he gave on his lecture, and you can see it on YouTube, was that he advised everyone in the room that this day and age, no one in this room needs to go and do something like reality TV. Because back in his days, they didn't have social media where they can take a little clip out, make it go viral, and be damaging to your reputation or your career. For him, it was different. He won, and in a time where you can't find many clips of him online, doing anything silly. So when I heard that talk, I was like, oh wow, okay, yeah, reality TV is not for me, and I didn't want to do it. But then I saw the year before me, one of my friends called Paul, he did a really good job on The Apprentice. When I spoke to him about how that's changed his life, he goes, the marketing and the amount of patients coming into the clinic has really changed and helped on the show. So I thought, wow, okay, why don't I try it? Doesn't matter how well it goes. At least I can go on. If I do a good job and just be myself, hopefully more people will see my face, recognize me, want to come in to get treated by me. So I had a conversation with Tim after I applied and got on, and he was, oh no, it's okay, you're here, it's a real deal, you're going to do great, it's going to be good. So I was like, all right, cool. And I felt a bit more comfortable initially, but then I think as you go through the process, you got to realize it's a reality TV show. That's what it is, right? So you can't be naive, which I was back then, thinking it was more of a business competition, because they got to get the viewerships right, they got to keep it interesting, and they got to have some characters in there to make it entertaining. Of course, that's what it is. And I love the show. It's a great show and really entertaining to watch.
And what were some of your best memories on the show?
Some of my best memories, I've got too many of them. One of the things that I love about the show is the great friendships that we formed coming out of it. So, there's about 6 of us from the show that kind of hang out with each other, go to people, Fred just got married, different events, Liam's 30th is coming up. And I think some of my best moments from the show, definitely on task, but off task as well. The fact that we've been able to build lifelong relationships and friendships that is just make the whole process worthwhile.
Amazing. And what were some of the challenges you found being on reality TV? Because there's lots of stuff that probably goes on camera and off camera.
Yeah. The challenges I found on reality TV, I think early on, and I'm talking like after episode 1 into middle of episode 2, I think, I'm not sure if anyone else noticed it, but they used to, have you ever heard of a show called The Squid Games?
Oh, yes.
Right. So The Squid Games is someone called a professor who is very calculated and knows what happens. And that was my nickname in the house. Right? And that's because from episode 1, 2, and 3, I could calculate who was going to get fired and who was going to get back in the boardroom. And that's because when the producers are interviewing any of the candidates, they will ask their questions based on a certain someone. And if it's on a negative framework, that person's might get into trouble. If it's on a positive framework, that person's going ahead. So I think in episode 3, I knew that Max was going to bring back Carlo and Liam, and I knew it was Carlo going to go. And I said that before the task even started. Right? So the 4th task, I predicted it, and I just felt that one of the hardest things is to accept that it's a reality TV show. And they do often say that nowadays, as the format has changed in the recent years to when it was before based on becoming his, working for him, now it's based on investing in your company. So of course we have to submit our businesses before we go on the show. They take a look at it, right? So I've heard, I do have some producers that are my patients now. They sometimes say they look at the businesses beforehand, and more than likely they pick the winner before the show even starts based on what business Lord Sugar wants to invest in. And after all, he's a very smart businessman. He's not going to invest in something he doesn't see a return in. So for me, I think, early on, Dean's business was amazing, and he was doing the biggest numbers out of all of us. So I felt from pretty early on that Dean was going to go all the way.
That's incredible. And what I would also like to ask you is that, in February 2025, the Metro reported that you left The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, why did you decide to leave the show? Because you were doing really well. You were well liked. I read social media, everything. Yeah. And no one could quite understand why you left. So could you just tell us just a bit about why you did?
Sure. I think, the reasons why I left the show was only once I got there, you have to realize, like, beforehand, as a viewer coming into competition, you do think it's a business competition. But once you're there, and I'm sure it's the same for all reality TV shows, is that you see what happens behind the camera in terms of production narrating their story, right? And I felt that after I knew that my contributions from episode 1, 2, and 3, they didn't talk about it in the boardroom. One of the producers told me they have to talk about it in the boardroom for them to show it on the episode. As it's not spoken about in the boardroom, they won't talk about it. And every time I went in there, and even though I performed really well in episodes 1, 2, and 3, Lord Sugar just wouldn't mention anything. And then as soon as in episode 4, I think he said to me, "You're really quiet." And I think this is where people got a little bit confused. I wasn't hurt with the fact that he said, "You're really quiet, Jana." But I knew in my head, and it registered to me, that none of my contributions are going to be shown in episodes 1, 2, and 3, and they're going to make it look like I was really quiet. And that's what I was hurt about, because I felt that in tasks 1 and 2, 1, 2, and 3, I was performing really, really well, did the best negotiations, was really liked within the team, and I was just hurt that I knew when it comes showtime, none of it's going to be shown. So because I didn't have any control of the narrative that was already pre-written for me, I felt that my professional reputation as a dentist, everything I worked for, everything my parents have sacrificed for me to be, I can't let someone else dictate that, right? And I was on BBC One radio show talking to Eddie, and he was like, "How do you feel going into more than 6 million people's homes, and there's a chance that you're going to be represented or shown a way that's not your true self?" And I said to him, that's exactly what hit me when it happened, and that's when I wanted to take control of my own narrative. I was like, "You know what? Thank you for your time. It's been a great experience. Love the show, love the candidates, but I think it's time for me to call it." Just because I felt like my contributions, or my character in particular, wasn't being shown in the boardroom, and that's why I knew it was going to be shown in the episodes. And looking back in the episodes, I don't think any of my really good moments were shown, but it was expected, because once I knew they weren't going to speak about it in the boardroom, is when I knew they weren't going to show it.
I mean, I think, personally, in my opinion, having watched that episode, I didn't think you did anything wrong. You were respectful, you were calm, but I guess with any kind of TV show, if you feel that you're not being represented in a way that's going to help you, it might be the best thing just to... So I completely understand that. So even following on from that, looking back, and you probably don't, but looking back, would you have tried and pushed through them not showcasing your actual talent? Sure,
yeah. Looking back at it, of course, there's hindsight's a beautiful thing, right? So looking back at even the podcast I did as soon as coming out of the show, I look back at nearly a year on, I'm like, oh my God, why did I say that? Because the experience was amazing. I don't want to sound bitter in any way, and me leaving is not any shade on, Lord Sugar or the show. It's an amazing show. He's an amazing business tycoon. They're great, great people. Me leaving the show, if I could do anything different, one thing I would do different, and Tim is going to be the guy that vouches for me when I say this, is just keep my mouth quiet. Right? Mm-hmm. If in the show I can see what's going on behind the scenes, and I knew who's going to get fired, and keep it to myself. Because I think I was very vocal with the candidates about it and saying, "Guys, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen." Tim was always like, "Jana, stop it." So I think me doing that was, maybe ruining the integrity of the show, or, what the show was going to be out and become. And that could have been a reason why they didn't want to highlight the good things I was doing. So maybe if I could go back in time, keep my mouth closed, do good on the task, and maybe put myself forward a bit more. I would have loved to become PM of the second task, actually, looking back at it now. But, everything happens for a reason, and I'm happy the way everything happened.
And even though you left The Apprentice, DENSTUDIO has still blown up. You were on Rolling Stone recently. Yeah. So I just want to talk about, what did the show do for you in terms of your business, in terms of building your clientele? How did it impact that?
So, it's a funny thing, because the show initially, after the first episode, everyone put me in a good light. I was number one runner to win it, even the second episode and stuff as well. Unfortunately, it got leaked after the third episode that I was leaving the show, right? So they kind of took me out the odds then, and they knew what was going to happen. And they also brought up a small incident that happened during the show, and kind of linked it to the two to make it look like that was the reason. And I went through such a harsh time when it happened. I think it hit Valentine's Day this year, and I was in the papers everywhere. Front page of The Sun, you name the UK tabloid, they'll be printing about it or writing about it online. And for a week, paparazzi outside my house, outside the clinic, outside my parents' house, reports going on. And it was crazy. It was crazy. I've never experienced anything like it. Speaking to people who were in my circle, they have experienced it, so they kind of gave me some tips of how to get through it. But on the hindsight, going through that really made me grow up and really kind of realize what's important and what's not. And because I overcame that, it led me to such great things. Being on the Rolling Stones, one of the things was because of all that drama and controversy, they saw how I kind of rose above it, interviewed me on a great piece, got to meet Sir Alex Ferguson because he saw me on the front page of the Sun and wanted to see me and talk to me about UK tabloids and what I'm doing now. We had a great conversation. It's really led me to bigger and better things. So, sometimes you've got to be grateful for the highs and the lows.
I just want to go back to the tabloids because I think it takes incredible resilience to deal with the tabloids. I've interviewed all kinds of people throughout my time. Yeah. And I know that the tabloids, they will pick the smallest thing and they'll make it into like some kind of, Maze Runner type scenario. Yeah. So how did you kind of, deal with, the media painting you in an unfavourable light, which I don't think was fair. I saw what the incident was and what they wrote about. Didn't think it was fair the way they were painting you. Yeah. So how did you kind of deal with that? Because that must have hit your mental health hard.
Yeah, it did. And, it caught me completely off by surprise because even though the incident happened, it was very, very small incident at the time. And I had no idea that they would use this to even come out in the papers or blow it up. But, I saw, you got to realise that sometimes to have a TV show, especially because social media is doing so well these days, a lot of eyes are on TikTok and YouTube and stuff, TV ratings aren't as where they used to be, right? So sometimes some people within the show need to popularize the show and make something happen to have more viewers tuned in. That's why, before the show even happened, we had that story with Amber, because everyone wanted to find out, who's the person? Let's watch. Everyone tune in. And I felt that's the same what happened to me as well, because they said I was going to leave the show, and then I said this comment as well. So it was like, oh my God, let's tune in. Let's watch the episode. And, I think I sent you beforehand that my episode of the one where I supposedly said something and left turned out to be the highest viewed episode by far in the whole series. And it's not because of me, but it's because they orchestrated it in a way with the press, with the news, to have everyone's eyeball on that episode.
Wow, that is quite something. But one thing I am happy for you about is Stephen Bartlett backed what you were doing. So what I really want to focus upon is because Stephen Bartlett, Dragon's Den, Diary of a CEO, he saw potential in you. So how did you two meet, and ultimately how did that investment opportunity take place?
So what Stephen did for me was introduce me to a guy who at the time was his commercial director, the guy that headed, I think it's called Flight Fund, manages all of the different businesses that he invests in and stuff. His name is Danny Gray. And that connection to Danny changed my life, I would say. I don't go to a single business meeting without Danny at hand now. And that kind of meeting or initial meeting happened away from the show, because I was actually already in a space where I was renting my dental rooms, where he was a partner of that firm that let dental rooms out for dentists. So I had my connection through there with him. I actually had this really cool patient who was the CEO and founder of Superdry.
Oh, wow.
So he recently became CEO again. I think he sold his shares, went off for a while, bought back his shares, and he wanted someone with a marketing buzz to step into Superdry and revamp it. And I was like, I've got the person just for you, Stephen. So I connected him up with Stephen. And then Stephen was just like, speak to my guy, Danny. Danny ended up becoming one of my patients because he needed some work done. And then I sent Danny the business plan that I sent to Lord Sugar. And then he looked at the business plan and he was just like, great business plan. We got on, we're good friends, we go out for dinners, and every single business meeting I said, I always involve him in it. And that has changed my life, because it's become a lot more credible now. The fact I have Danny, someone on my side, going to a business meeting, who'll be there, singing my praises, and, really showing my profile off to potential investors of different business ventures we go forward for. Being honest with you, I'd probably say the best thing about going on The Apprentice, what it's done for me, was that link with Stephen Bartlett to Danny Gray, because now I can walk into any business with him on my side.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible because when I look at your life, you've been through so much, you've achieved so much. So just in terms of you as a brand, because you are your own brand now, you're a social media influencer.
As you.
So what's next for you in terms of, not just the business side, but you as an influencer? How are you going to look to build your brand and kind of leverage?
For me, I think, we've got one site in Harley Street that's running. We're looking at opening up another site in Surrey, hopefully within the year or so. And honestly, just to continue doing what we're doing, building great relationships with great people. I've met so many amazing people by being a dentist that I would never normally meet in real life. And to have these relationships, it's an amazing feeling, being able to go out with them, go to their concert, or, do their... whatever it is that they do, to be involved in that in any capacity is really good. Like going to the Ballers League game with Sharky. So all of these different things, it's something I never expected from being a dentist, but I think continuing to build good relationships with good people and providing high quality treatments at affordable prices is something I think we're going to continue to go out and do. And hopefully we're going to change the standard of dentistry where everyone feels a lot more comfortable to go to the dentist and become friends with them. I think that would be great.
I mean, it's incredible. I also want to go on to your opportunity when you met Sir Alex Ferguson and Nani at Manchester United Football Club. Yeah. So please just tell me a bit about how the opportunity came about.
Sure.
And just about your experience meeting them both. I know you've worked with Nani before, but Alex Ferguson was a new one.
Yes, so Nani has been a friend for, I think, over 10 years now. I met him because I studied in Valencia, and he spent 1 year after his United stint playing for Valencia. I was in charge of organising his 30th birthday. That's how we actually met. And then since then, he's come to my house, I've come to his house. We're family friends now, I would say, his wife, kids, missus, and we've got a very good relationship where anytime he's over here in London, he'll come see me. Anytime I go to Portugal, I go to see him. And what happened was he was in Manchester and I had sent him my Rolling Stones magazine feature. And then he was in Manchester with Sir Alex at the time. And then I think he showed it to Sir Alex and goes like, I know this guy. And how do you know him? And he was like, I've seen him on the papers before, right? And it's amazing because that was a really bad time for me. But because that sparked his interest in me, he's like, tell him to come up. And the next day they had a game going on. So then Nani said, do you want to come up? And I was like, yeah, sure. So the next day met Sir Alex, met the old CEO as well, forgotten his name, met Nani, met a couple players, and it was a great time. Like, we sat and we spoke, and I think one of the things that he said was, the UK tabloids will completely destroy you. Because they're known for that. They've been doing it from from his days till now, and it's just something you got to have grit and determination to be able to ignore it, raise your head above it, and keep on going. I've taken his advice, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
That's incredible. And are you a Manchester United supporter yourself?
I used to be. I don't watch it anymore. But if I'm going to support any team, it's definitely going to be United. How about yourself?
I support Arsenal.
Yeah. So I think you're doing a lot better than us at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Man United will be back on top soon.
Hopefully soon.
I also wanted to ask you, one thing that I really enjoyed, one of your Instagram posts, was the 5 lessons you learned from launching DENSTUDIO.
Yeah.
One of these being self-belief.
Yes.
Thought that was an incredible lesson.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur that has a lot of talent but lacks self-belief?
I think, one of the reasons why I went on to The Apprentice, as well as creating kind of traction towards myself, more eyes on me and more eyes on my business, was definitely to win that investment with Lord Sugar. Because, although people would say £250,000 doesn't do much in dentistry, is to kind of get that mentorship from someone, a business tycoon, from himself. And I thought to myself, because I was working and operating DENSTUDIO within another company at the time, so I was still an associate. So any leads that I brought in or patients that I had, I got paid a percentage of that, because a lot of that will go back to the clinic. And I thought to myself, you know what, I just don't have it in me to start a business by myself and run it by myself. If only I had someone like Lord Sugar to mentor me, I could make this expand and go around the whole of the UK. But funny enough, I remember May 12th was the day that I left The Apprentice, And something happened to me in that boardroom, which none of you lot see because they edit out what he says to me. And in some scenes, they actually replace it with something else because the camera's facing me. He does say something else. But he said to me, Lord, goes, you know what, Jana, you're one of the most credible candidates here. I know you're going to grow up and achieve great things. You're going to be very successful. And I wrote that down as soon as I left because I thought, wow, that's an amazing. And I hope they show it. Unfortunately, they didn't. But that itself gave me the self-belief of, I don't need to partner up with Lord Sugar. I don't need to partner with anyone. I know everything. I've got the capabilities and confidence to do it all by myself. So the next day, that's exactly what I did. I went and opened it up by myself, started running the business by myself, having my own team in place. And that confidence came from The Apprentice, came from the decision to walk away from The Apprentice, and also what Lord Sugar said as well. So having that instilled a belief in me that I can do it. And I really want to let everyone else know, if you've got a passion, if you've got a dream, and you've got the hustle to be able to work hard and go and get it, you really don't need anyone else but yourself to do it. And I think all of these people try and wait for that opportunity of someone coming in and investing in them. You don't need it. You can do it all by yourself. And often once you do, you realize it's great to keep 100% of the business to yourself anyway. So although mentorship is a great thing, get started, do it yourself. There's so many resources where, there's so many different facilities within the UK to help small startups, Founder Fest being one of them. Just make use of what you can, but get started and do it yourself.
Thank you so much. And what are your future plans for DENSTUDIO, apart from what we've discussed? So
I think future plans with DENSTUDIO, really let's try and see where we can take it in number of sites across the UK. How many different places we can go to. One of the things about scaling is you want to make sure that your quality is always really, really good. And I've really got two hands, so there's only a certain number of patients I can see. But I want to be able to make sure that we provide a really high level of general and cosmetic dentistry, that we're very ethical with what we do. We practice and preach slow dentistry. So, as I said, slow dentistry is like an organization run around the entire world, and there's actually 32 ambassadors who they say practice really good slow dentistry, and I'm one of those global ambassadors, and I want to be able to make sure that I'm continuing to practice that even when we grow, because although slow dentistry might not be as profitable as fast quick dentistry, it's doing the right thing by the patient and making sure that they're fully consented, understand the procedure, have a great experience, and refer us on to people because they've had such a good time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jana, for such a great interview.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.